computers, yes.
Okay, so on the computer where we started yesterday with the Secure Node workshop, Peter is working on. But right now we have a few minutes left, like actually 15 minutes left for the Q&A from yesterday's part. So please ask the classroom if there are any questions or if there are any things which we have to show in the second part of the hands-on, please.
All right, all right. Okay, so guys, any questions from yesterday's session? Yes? So there's a question that once they log in right now, will they go back to where they were yesterday or will they start afresh?
No, let me show where we continue. I think it's here. So important is that everyone is able to go to this site, documentation.zencash.com. Every one of you can open it already, and then we continue yesterday. So we log in again. So your classroom can open this page.
So I thought we might quickly just go back through and make sure everybody was on the same place, yeah?
But I want them to open the documentation.zencash.com to find it on their own. Like on the left side, you have this scrolling button, and there you go on Secure Nodes. And if you click on the documentation.zencash.com, then on the left, Secure Nodes, we were in the installation part. And yeah, this is like what we showed yesterday is you get the fresh system. Then we did some domain name registration. We created a user, and now they, of course, have to log in with the user which they created yesterday. So I think I will jump right here back into part 1 to recap. And now you can ask the classroom if everyone is on documentation.zencash.com and is in the secure node part, and then installation, and there we are in part 1. If everyone is able to get there, because this is the important thing where the guide is describing what to do. Andre is still there or he dropped?
I'm still here, so the class is loading the documentation.zencash page.
Yep.
So please load the page, guys. Have you loaded the page? So Anna, we can continue.
Okay, so of course in the beginning we are saying we need some client to connect to our servers. We showed you also yesterday where to rent some servers. There is the server list which is in this guide, but I want to continue in this part 1 introduction. And in the beginning we described the requirements which we need to have a working secure node. Here's the community VPS list, by the way. This is the community VPS list. Is showing you where to rent some virtual private servers, which you can use to run your nodes generally, or specifically a secure node for ZenCash. So this is like generally important for you if you want to, for example, run a Bitcoin node. You also can rent one of these community VPS lists. So on this list you have some items where you can use generally. Okay, but for ZenCash we need to do some steps, and this is now what you did yesterday. You registered a domain name. We can ask questions if this was for everyone working, or is there some unclearness about why we have to do it, or so domain name registration is for everyone clear? Question?
Arno?
Yeah.
We are good. We are good. We can continue.
Great. Okay, so then we were in part 2 already, where we started to create the user. So we connected with the PuTTY, which is an SSH client, to the server. We connected, and then we started to create here the user. And then here you see this is the PuTTY, which we used also yesterday. So I think this is for everyone clear. Is any questions about this user creation on the server?
Does everyone have PuTTY running and the user creation done? Sorry? Who has an issue with that? Please hands up. Okay. Felix, do you have an issue with?
It's worth saying, as feedback from yesterday, we actually changed this a little bit so that it actually by default gives you a username and so on. If anybody needs to do this again, you can just double click on here and start again. If you want to, I mean, there's no at the where we got up to. I mean, there was somebody who got the whole way up to downloading the ZenCash params. I would not suggest starting again for that person, because that's already, you've created a user and you've downloaded a lot of data and so on. It's still possible. You could start again if you want to. You could start from here, basically. If you're already logged in to the server and everything, then you could start from here.
So you can ignore the Word document and just start from here. The documentation is all.
I mean, now everything's a lot faster. We should be able to get through it a lot faster, yeah? So now the servers are actually responding correctly.
Peter, is the server login list is the same from yesterday, yeah?
Exactly the same, yeah.
So actually we can continue here, right? In the sudo apt-get update.
No, I think we'll start from the username and so on, and those people that have already done that part, then they can just catch up when we get to it. It's only a few steps anyway.
Okay, so we
Okay,
start
so
here.
Just a minute, we solve one thing with the username, then we can continue. But basically everything is on documentation of ZenCash.com. So Peter, Anu?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone is now logged in.
They're logged in with the user that they created, or they're logged in as root?
The user that they created.
Okay, perfect. So then we have done all of this, then I'm going to assume, and we can go to the next section,
So
which
part
is where
3?
we were yesterday. Part 3, yeah.
the documentation of ZenCash. Just copy paste the command.
I don't know if we have to do the securing SSH.
We can do.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fairly crucial skill to learn because it's a general skill for running Linux servers.
Okay. Yeah, then let's do it.
The only question I have for Paul is, what was the username that was used on this server?
Now, peers do, right?
I don't. Ah, it was okay.
You're the default user, man.
Okay, after that we go to part 3, the documentation.
Peter, you want to take over, or because I don't know the guide? You want to take over?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm on the screen, I think.
Let
I
me
should present, yeah. Let me wait a second. Let me move it across so that it's on something.
Sorry, yes, Peter, Anna?
I said if there are 3 or 4 people who did not finish part 2, we can go back and do that.
So we have only 4 people who are completing with part 2, but the rest of the class is done with part 1 and part 2, and we are now in part 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
So
want to wait? Do you want to wait till everybody's ready on part 3?
So,
Or ready for part 3?
Felix, have you caught up? So just a minute, let me confirm.
Yeah, sure.
Just a minute, okay. So Anna, Peter, we can continue.
This is what their nodes look like underneath. Sorry. I thought it might be interesting for them to see this. This is what their nodes look like underneath. Okay, let's go ahead. So the first part of part 3, if you've logged in and now your login doesn't say root here, but says the username that you created, and then you can right click to copy or to paste. It's okay. I can get it back. Okay, so once we've got this FQDN typed in, we can, and equals, then we can just press enter. To double check, I would suggest echo allows you to see variables, the values of variables. So here you can type echo $FQDN, and it will echo it here on a new line. So you can just double check that this is the correct one.
Check, just type this one. Echo, it's not on the document, but it's for just confirmation.
As a general rule, as a general bit of information for Linux, you can always do an echo, and then to see a variable, we put $1 inside. So here, when we assign it, we don't put $1 in front because we're just assigning it. But here, when we want to view it, we have to put $1 in front to indicate it's a variable.
Right.
Okay. So the rest of the guide is pretty much just copy and paste. You just need to double click on the box and copy or Control C, and then just right click into the PuTTY window. So the next thing that we're doing here is exporting the FQDN into our users' settings, so that every time we log in, this variable is set. It just makes it easier in case you need to go away and come back again, or whatever, need to log back in again. This variable will always be set. So as I say, double click, right click, Control C or copy, right click and copy, and then just right click in here to execute, and press enter to execute. And the same with the next ones. So here we're updating the package cache, which is the list of software that is available to the operating system. So again, just copy, right click and press enter, and you'll need to enter the password in that you created for your user. Every time you use this sudo command, sudo means super user do, and you're essentially escalating your rights. You're pushing your rights within the system up to a higher level to execute system commands.
Just copy the commands in this document. Okay, copy those commands.
Peter, Arno? Hello?
Yes?
So we have a query on part 3, the 14th step.
14th step.
The 14th step, yes.
Also no sound.
Yes?
One of our students has typed in the Zen command and feedback is unable to bind to 0.0.0 port 9033 on this computer. Bitcoin Core is probably already running.
Yeah, it's probably already running then, because if he got that far earlier yesterday, then it's probably still running, or it's probably already running.
Failed to listen to any port.
So just if he types 10, or you can, I think we did it.
Next command.
The next command. If he just types this, then he should see this.
ZenCLI get info. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Come. It's giving an error, could not connect to server, unknown code.
Okay. How about we get everybody else up to there, and then if you can give me the ID of the system, which server name it is, I can have a look.
All right, let me get the rest that far, then I give you the IP address.
Okay. Well, I just need the name of it, because then I can log in from here. Just the number.
So he has named it TAR. TAR.
TAR?
Yeah, TAR.
No, the name here. What number is it?
Oh, what number are you logged into? What number? 005.
005. Okay. Let's have a look. Oh, wait a second. Okay, Andrew, it should be fixed now.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
So it's now good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can just continue from where we left, because the students are continuing with the steps.
Okay.
Just also go on with the steps.
Yeah.
All right. So the next part that we're doing here is to install some software that's required for the system. The first two are, or the first three are basically for installing some software to support the installation of software, and various other things, a password generator, SSL cert, I believe it's just a user group. Git is to connect to GitHub or any Git repo, and NPM is for Node.js. And we have JQ, which allows us to read JSON data. So again, we're just copying, right click, and press enter. Same password again. This is already installed, in this case, oops. And for the next line, we're adding, oops, fantastic. For the next line, we're adding the ZenCash software repository. Again, we're just copying and pasting. And you can see it's now added in. Oops. Then we're adding some software keys to verify that the server is who it says it is. Essentially, it's fingerprinting the server. And once it's successful, it will say totally processed, and so on. And it's just the same the whole way down, going just copy and paste. Now we're exporting the key and adding it into the software repository. Adding a software repository to help us with SSL certificates. And then finally, now we've added in these extra software repositories, we need to update again so that the operating system is aware of what new software is available now. Then we're going to install the main program. So we have the Zen program, which is the Node software. And then we have also CertBot, which helps us create the TLS certificate. So again, we're just copying and pasting. And it will take a little while. It will install a bunch of software. How are we doing, Andrew?
So the students are continuing with the steps. Some of them are done with part 3, they're going to part 4.
Oh, okay, I better hurry up then.
Yes, yes.
It's empty, it's food in.
Okay. So, actually this step here, this Zen fetch params, needs a little bit of explanation. I mean, it looks like it's just downloading something, but this is actually one of the most interesting parts of the whole coin. So this is actually the security, the cryptography, the base of the cryptography that secures the entire network, or the entire coin supply. This was These are parameters that were generated by the combination of some private information from a whole bunch of people. It was done in a ceremony on a laptop, which was destroyed afterwards, so that the security of the system was ensured. So there's actually a quite interesting website, which maybe we should actually link to so that people actually understand this. So you can see actually there's a YouTube video of the whole thing. I don't know if this is the right one, but yeah, I think it is. Which is actually all about how they met up and created the parameters for the whole, for the security of the system. So essentially a bunch of people got together, created some private information, they joined that information using a particular set of rules, and then they destroyed the information afterwards. So as long as nobody was colluding and sharing information with each other beforehand, and knows the algorithm and everything else, there's no way to break the security of the entire system. But this is so-called a trusted setup, and this is one of potentially the negatives of doing this sort of cryptography, when you need a trusted setup, and it's the holy grail of the whole system of any system is to actually not require a trusted setup. But our coin, ZenCash, also Zclassic, and also ZCash, all share this same key, and I think also Bitcoin Private for that matter. So they all share the same trusted setup for all of their coins. So it's several $100 million worth of value, or even $1 billion worth of value is actually all held together with this thing that you're downloading. So this is actually one of the most interesting things to understand about the cryptography underneath a privacy coin like this. Any questions?
So there's a question, Peter.
Yeah.
Someone is asking if the number of blocks in the testnet is the same as the one in the real world.
No, it's not. The main reason being that often there's not very many people on testnet, so no blocks get mined. So it just sits there and does nothing while there's nobody mining on it. I mean, testnet can be mined with a CPU, so it's possible just to join up to it and mine it. But yeah, no, it's about, I think at the moment, it's about 80,000 blocks behind, maybe a little bit more.
All right.
So in fact, we're actually going to change something which is not in the normal install because we're doing the testnet setup. So for everybody who has gone ahead, we are going to have to stop and change something, which is basically that we just need to remove this part in front of the setup. So we'll need to edit this file and then remove this and then restart Zend afterwards. So to do that, first we type Zend, which creates a default file, and you get this warning saying it's automatically copying this file and so on, but that's all right because we're replacing it here. So we're just copying and pasting the whole block in and press enter. And now we've created a file at this location. So again, this symbol here means the home directory. Excuse me. So to get into this file, we're just going to do nano, which is a name of an editor, text editor. Select this part of it here and press enter. So once everybody's there, please let me know because this is an important step. I mean, I can go and fix it on your servers afterwards, but it's probably better if you do it yourself.
Just a quick one, Peter. Which part are we missing?
It's not. It's the step that's not in here because we need to move across to the testnet. No?
Okay. Yeah.
But the other thing is, I will go through and check all the ones that have it in the break that we have. I'll go through because I have to copy the blockchain across anyway for people.
Edit the Zen.conf file. Most of you have passed this step, right? You need to come out to the setting and edit the Zen.conf file. And can you do this by accessing nano files?
Nothing is broken by having gone past. It's no big deal. It's just we need to do this before we continue.
So just go.
Sorry. So for those who have gone ahead, what do they do?
They can just do the same. It's just a matter of just coming to this point. Yeah, we just need to now edit this file. So once you type this in, nano, and then as I say, you can just copy this or you can type it in.
So on your command line, type nano,
and then the cedilla, this special character. This. You can also take it from here. So it's also in step 13 of part 3.
Alright, guys, you have your access the Zen.conf file, alright? You can see this? On this side.
So if everybody's done that, then you can just press enter and it will open up the file in an editor. Yeah, and then we're just moving down with the arrow keys. You can just move down to this line here and you're just pressing delete once. Yeah, just to remove the hash.
Okay, once you open it, have you opened that file? The signal. So you're going to be using a hashtag in front of the text fields. The hashtag in front of the text fields. Everybody.
scroll down.
Hast du auch eine Maske? Maske. Eine Maske. Ja, das ist eine Maske. Maske. Welche Maske?
So Peter, is there any other change or did they just save after that?
That's it, just like that.
Alright, so guys,
And then to get out, if you see down here it says Control X. So if you press Control and X, and it will come up and it will say, do you want to save the modified buffer, which is a expensive way of saying, do you want to save? And then you just press Y for yes, and press enter for the file name. We're not changing it, and then it's done. So just to show you again, to Control, if I need to put a space in somewhere, Control X, Y for yes, and then enter.
Was step 3, part 13. To make you change the icon.
If everybody's done that, just let me know.
So Peter, hello.
Yes?
So students using the machine number 15.
Yeah.
So there is an issue with the zen.conf file. It has more details and it has it's not editable. Number 15.
15, sorry. Oh, what happened here?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I suppose did this happen from yesterday? Maybe there was an error with the. If this was done yesterday, then there might have been a problem with the transfer of the information. I imagine. I've never seen this before, but we can just
Probably
delete it
just
all.
delete it all
Yeah,
and copy
I've done
paste.
it. He can just exit. And if we go back to the guide, you can just do this again. In fact, oops. Yeah. So you can just copy this again and paste it in. And now it should be.
Then you have to delete the hash. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll leave that for you to do. But yeah, it should be fine now.
Peter.
Yeah, go ahead.
So instance number 28, the students have an issue with the directory that they are in. Number 28.
Right. Have they? It looks like they haven't added. Have they added another user?
Sorry?
So, do you know which user it is?
Which user? It's Meg.
It's ringing or something. Alarm is ringing.
Okay, so that looks okay. It looks like the user may not have done the switch to the Meg user. So if you look at the user's terminal, do they have Meg at the beginning here, or does it still say root?
No, actually, they don't have anything at the terminal. They just have the arrow button, the forward arrow button, the more than sign.
Ah, I see. So if they press,
they can't even type in the command.
so if they press Control and C, just see if that will quit it out of that.
Sorry?
If they press Control and the C button.
Control C, guys.
It still looks like that particular machine is logged in with root.
They are now good.
Yeah, but just quickly check if you don't mind. For machine 28, it looks like we only have root users logged in. So can you check the username at the beginning of the command prompt?
He's talking about a ball. He wants to throw it.
So I've just confirmed it's Meg. They've logged in with the username that they created.
Okay.
All right. So we can continue.
I'm just going to quickly check their file.
She wasn't here, but... How?
Okay, and so that user, if they could just edit the file and remove the hash. And again, in order to do that, if you just look at the left-hand screen here, you just go nano, and then the location.
So they just edited the file. Probably you can check and confirm. and we can continue with the next steps.
Perfect. Excellent. Well done. Okay. So has everybody done the steps 14 and 15? Just to have a quick look at the output from Zen. So essentially everyone should be able to run the command in step 15 and see some nice pretty JSON output, as you can see here on the left hand side. So while that's being checked, if you just check that that command returns this output, I'm just going to run the benchmark test on this machine 30.
So, teacher,
Yes, go ahead.
instance number 15, the 15th step, the student is getting an error. The 15th step, which is ZenCLI get info.
Is it the same? Is it this error the same as I just saw here?
No, it's not that one.
Okay, let's have a quick look.
The error is incorrect RPC user or RPC password.
Okay. So I'll just quickly log in and check that. And it may take a moment because the machine will be quite busy, as I'm just running the benchmark test on number 30.
All right.
Okay, yeah, so I suspect what happened there was that Zen was already running, and then the zen.conf file was edited, and when the edit happened, because there was a new user and password, you weren't able to log into the instance of Zen that was running. So, well, excuse me, what I've just done there is I've essentially just killed the existing Zen process. I've run the pgrep just to make sure it's been killed successfully, and then started Zen again. So the user should be able to run the command and see the output.
So how do you kill the Zen process?
So what I did there was I used a tool called pgrep, which gives me the process ID of Zend. That confirms that Zend is running. And then in order to kill it, only if you were running it manually you would do this, which we are at this step in the guide. You can run pkill, which selects the process following it, and that finds a process called Zend and kills it. But I've done it already on that machine, so the user should be able to run the ZenCLI getinfo command.
Who else has the same error? We also have another user with the same error.
Okay, which machine number?
Machine number 20. Username? Charlo. Number 20, username Charlo.
just going to do the same thing now. Yeah, so I think this is exactly the same. I'm just going to do p kill Zend. And then check, make sure Zend isn't running anymore. And then start it again. Perfect, and that user for machine 20 should be able to run ZenCLI get info.
So once this is all up and running, I think we should take a pause so that I can copy the blockchain across to the machines.
So I think, yeah, if we can confirm everybody can see this output now from ZenCLI get info, then as Peter said, we should just take 5 minutes. We can synchronize the blockchain, and then we can start the next part of the guide.
So Peter,
Yes?
Yes? Oh,
instance number 28, the username Meg is trying to start Zend command, but he's getting the error that HTTP server is not starting up. Zen is running, then the HTTP server is not starting up.
Okay, we'll just have a look now.
All right.
So that was 28 that had the problem.
yeah, he said user Meg, so looks like the right one.
Yes, so it's 28 user Meg.
Yeah, but it looks like it's working.
Okay.
But it's not on testnet.
So HTTP is not starting up.
I still don't know why we don't show a Meg user here.
Try run Zen, then you'll see the error.
Oh, I see. So you're running like that. Yeah. That's just because Zend is already running on this machine. So the user simply needs to run the ZenCLI get info command and just confirm they can see the output shown here.
So they can continue with the procedure without that step.
So yeah, the next thing we're going to do for that machine is just edit the testnet flag as we did before. Looks like that's been done. Okay, so I think we just need to restart Zen. I'll just quickly do that for you, and we can check that it's on the testnet. Okay.
All right.
So actually, if you want to run Zen locally now, why don't you try that and make sure Zen starts up?
All right.
And then if they run Zen CLI get info, yeah, that looks good now.
So, should we take a break?
Have we been able to confirm that everybody in the room has seen the JSON output from the get info command?
Maryland, not here. You can play in your room, not here, okay?
Nicht hier in dem Zimmer, hat die Mama gesagt.
Hey, Peter. Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yes.
Yeah, so user 30 is trying to run the Zen command, but is getting the error cannot bind. User 30.
What machine number is it?
30.
No, what machine number?
30. 30.
Oh,
The last
30.
ZenCash training note that.
This one.
Yes. The
Ah,
username is Eunice.
That's because that's the one that we've been using. That's the one that we've been using in the training to show you.
So the username is Eunice. I don't know whether you can share it with her.
Yeah, you could just change your port, Peter.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah. What is it? Port?
No, that's just the RP. Oh yes.
You gotta change everything.
Have a quick look at my test machine.
Ah, I should have stopped first. Okay, it should be fine now.
All right.
Zend is running already, so you should be able to just run Zen CLI get info.
So Peter, I know we can continue with the steps.
So, Paul, what do you reckon? We should just take a break now, right?
I think if we give everybody, if everybody successfully got the JSON output as we've shown here, then I think we should give everyone 5 minutes, and we can quickly copy the blockchain across, which
It's
means
going to
that
take longer than that. I've got to do it for all of the machines.
10 minutes then.
Come on, there's 30 machines. I don't know which ones people have used.
Why don't you estimate the time then, Peter?
Okay, I'm going to say it's going to take us 15 to 20 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes on the outside. Can we take a break, Andrew?
Yes, we can take a break.
Okay.
But before we do that, there is a user 21. Username Kim. So he's trying to run Zend, but he's getting errors.
You actually have two. You actually have two people on that machine.
Yes.
There's Kwok and Kim.
And Kim, yeah. So
Yeah, they can't both. Well, they can both run at the same time, but it makes it a little bit more difficult. Okay. Anyway, we can change it for user Kim.
all
This is
right.
why I was saying everybody should have their own machine. So.
Okay. So how many minutes break?
Oh, what have we got here?
Yeah, that's the default Zen conf that's
Yeah.
copied.
So how many minutes break, guys?
We think about 15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes. All right.
And just
Now 11:95. Yes. 11:95. Or we can go to the server. Okay. We have it. Okay, guys, so the class is going for break till for the next 15 minutes.
Okay. Fine.
Run Zen, after which the Zen server is going to start. Then you check your Zen CLI info. So probably Peter, if you could explain what is in the information there.
What?
Represented under the Zen CLI get info command.
Ja, da war ich schon. Lass das andere Auge. Ja. Gehst du jetzt auf Toilette?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Peter.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, under ZenCLI get info, there's actually two commands that are useful to know here to get basic information. There's get info and get network info. I'll show you the second one later. So what you see here is, and it's important to note, this is JSON, right? So if you want to write applications that interact with the Zen daemon, a lot of the commands or all of the commands either return a single string or they return a JSON output. So you can actually write applications on the server to get information. So the first line here is the version of the Zen daemon. The protocol version is, I believe, the consensus version. Wallet version is the version of the wallet. I don't think this really changes. Then you have your total transparent balance. This doesn't show the shielded balance. Then you have the total number of, or where you are on the blockchain, and we can see that this is roughly correct of what the latest block is. So you can always check this way. So the latest block is 256.555, and probably if I run again now. See that it's already the next one up even. So it's in sync, we know that. The time offset is actually in seconds, I believe. I used to think it was in hours, but it's actually in seconds. Then you have the connections. So this is the number of nodes that you're connected to. And there's also another, you can do get peer info. And you can actually see all of the different nodes that you're connected to.
Please repeat, Peter.
Just showing that, so the number of connections here show you how many peers you are connected to, how many other nodes you're connected to. And if you want to see more information about who those peers are, you can use a command called get peer info. And then you can see a list of all the different nodes and what their IP addresses are and what version they're on and so on. Yep. Then you have the difficulty, and this is very low, 89. It's not out of 100. It's a very low difficulty because it's on testnet. If you look at the mainnet difficulty, it's somewhere around 1 million, just by comparison. We can also see that we are on testnet because it says testnet true, and we can see I'm actually not sure what that one is. Yeah, I actually don't know. Key pool size either, and these ones also I'm not entirely. I mean, the relay fee I think is just a general thing. But I mean, basically, the most important information is above here. I don't know if Paul or Nate have more to add here about the bottom ones. I don't really know what they are.
No, nothing to add.
Okay, so the other one that you can look at is also get network info. And this shows you, for example, yeah, you've got the version, but also the subversion. And actually there's an update coming to 2014 in the next couple of weeks. You can also see whether the TLS certificate is already done, which we know it's not. And you can see whether it's connected via IPv4, also IPv6, and also here's the Tor connection as well, so onion connection. And then you can also see your local information here. So what is your IP address? This is the IPv6 address for this node, and we can see what port it's connected on. And this score here is actually a network score. So essentially every node has a network score, and the higher your score, the more likely other nodes will want to connect to you. There's a complicated algorithm behind it that calculates this. Right. So assuming everybody's got to this and they've done get info and we can see that they are on testnet. We actually went through and had a look at quite a few of the servers, and a lot of them were not on testnet.
So actually, user 23 is also not on testnet.
We ran this before and we had about 260 seconds, so it's about right. And now we're going to move on to part 4 in the guide.
Okay, we are now in part 4. Everyone is at par, right? Is there anyone at par? Okay, you can go on, Peter.
Okay. So the next part of this is really about security. For anybody who's not used Linux before this point, Linux has the possibility, unlike Windows in general, to be logged in with using an SSH key. This is actually very important for the server. Having a password protected internet server or server that's on the internet is really dangerous. Basically, you can do all sorts of things to stop people from logging in too many times and lock them out for a certain amount of time, but my experience says that as soon as you put a server with a public IP address onto the internet, within a few seconds, you're already being attacked. So people are constantly running dictionary attacks against your server and trying lots of passwords and logins and so on. So generally the easiest way, although it takes a little bit of setup, is to actually disable password logging in entirely and use a SSH key from your from PuTTY to connect. So that's the step that we're going to go through. So these steps are done on your local machine, and yeah. So we're just going to do this. So
yes, I am here. Okay, which step are you on?
So are you logged into the team viewer?
No, I'm not logged into the team viewer. Hold on.
Okay, well, maybe you can just walk me through it as well, because I haven't done this bit. So you're saying to open a second terminal window, but this is on the local machine. But we're using Windows, so I guess we need to go to the Windows one. Yeah.
Yes,
So we need to click on this link at the top here, Part 4A, because we're all on a Windows system. Andrew? Yeah, so everyone needs to click on Part 4A here, because this part only applies for Mac OS X and Linux. So we're all on Windows systems, so we need to click on this Part 4A link here.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if he doesn't want to.
So please click on this part 4A.
Yeah.
The top. Because we are all doing on the Windows. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just go back to show. It's a link here.
At the top. Yeah. Over here. Okay. Part 4A. Okay, we can continue.
Okay. So once you've found PuttyGen, you can just open it.
8.6.
And then we're going to click Generate. Once we click Generate, it's going to ask us to generate some randomness by moving a mouse. This takes a little while, so just keep with it.
You don't need the envelope.
Just need to keep moving the mouse around until, and essentially what this is doing is creating randomness in a sense. So it's making sure that the key that you create is unique to you. I mean, there's some very, very small chance that somebody is moving their mouse in exactly the same way as you are. So it's fairly sure that you will have a very secure key, which is unique to you. Andrew, can you check that everybody's generating a key?
So everyone is generating. Guys, progress. How many have finished generating? How many are in the process? How many haven't started? How many haven't started? Alright, so after class is generating, some are finished. Just a minute.
Die Mama trägst du nicht. Eichen, wirst du mir bitte zu? Ja, die Mama trägst du. Bis später. Bis später, Kai. Bis später.
So how many have finished? How many are still generating? Move your mouse. Move your mouse. Move your mouse. The cursor is low.
Andrew, it does take a while to do, so if we get to the point where people are not doing this or it takes too long, we can just move ahead without loading the key, but this really is best practice from a security perspective. Right. So my one's finished. So once it's finished generating, let me know. And the main point is to to give a descriptive name here so you remember what it's for. So I'm going to say something like ZenCash secure node 30 or something like this, you know. And then we also want to put a password in here. This is like a double security. If you have this key now, after we finish doing this setting up, it will instantly log you into your server. The point is not to stop that security of having a password, but rather to stop people at the front door so that they can't get in without the key, effectively. But there's still a double security to have there with a password. So my password is password. And then we want to save private key. And save it somewhere. I'm going to save it on the desktop. Like so. Andrew, let me know when people are up to that point. So the next step's a little bit tricky.
So you save the file name of file name.qy. Yeah.
Sorry, say again?
While saving the private key.
You saved the private key, yeah?
So while saving it, do you save it as private key.qy?
You can call it whatever you like. It doesn't really matter what you call it. The important point is that you save it.
Okay, so we just rename it in any way that we want.
Yeah. There's no limitation there.
Yeah, I would recommend still setting a key comment so they know it works when they log in. If they haven't already been instructed.
I said to do the code to put a key comment in, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've just seen some confusion helping people set that up.
By the way, it's great to see that some of you have jumped ahead and have already locked your systems down. We can see this already.
All right, we can continue, Peter.
Okay. So then we're just going to want to take this bit. So this is the public key, right? So every public key encryption, the way that it works is you have a key, which only you have, and you also have the lock as well, effectively, the way of verifying that key. And that can be released into public. Yeah? So in fact, this is very similar to the way that the blockchain works. You have public key and you have a private key. The public key being your address, your cryptocurrency address, like a Bitcoin address or a ZenCash address, and then underneath that, there's also a key. It's very similar. It's exactly the same concept. So there's a nice parallel there in what we're doing. The difference is internal. The entropy or the randomness is done by the system using a random number generator, generally speaking. Right. So we're just going to copy this, and then we're going to say on your secure node, we're going to make this. Just hint, Nate, Paul. There's no point in copying it because you're going to have to copy it again here. And then we're just going to take this command and do this and make. So we're making a file called authorized keys, and this is a default. It's a default within the system that if you have a directory called .ssh in your home directory, so this is the home directory, and you have a file called authorized keys, then the system will look there first and will check if you have any values there, and if you do, then it will let you in if you have the right public key. So the next part is we're going to do this nano. So again, just copy and paste and right click into the system, and we open up the text editor again, and then we're going to take this public key from here, copy it, and again just right click in. You can see it's copied in there. To get out, again, Control X to exit, Y for yes to save, and then enter for the file name.
All right, please repeat.
Okay. So the first thing we're doing is we're making a file here, yeah, with this command. We're making a directory and a file. Nate, Paul, if you do .p here, then it will, because if you do this again now, it'll say it's already created and it won't do the rest of the commands. But if you do .p, then it will ignore that, just by the way. -p rather.
Yeah, got it.
So, and then we're opening up this file, right? The file we just created in the previous line. We're going to PuTTyGen. We're selecting all of this. You can press, you have to select all of the text here, all the way to the top. So from SSH-RSA all the way down to the name, which is the same name as been set here. Right click, copy, and then come in here and right click to paste. And once you've done that, you will see it appear here. It will look like this. And then all we're doing, and just double check that you've got the whole thing here. So if it starts with SSH-RSA and then ends with the name, then you know you're done. And then you can press Control X, Y to save, and press Enter to save the file.
So have you done that? Just scroll down on where we were in this page.